What's up, everyone? You're listening to Kicked Back, and man, do we have a show for you because football never sleeps these days, and we love it because there's just so much drama, so much excitement and chaos in the football world. Liam, how are you?
I'm good. Football was back in full force this weekend. It was nice that the Premier League scheduled it that we had two derbies to talk about right away, so that was a great way to come back. And I mean, even the derbies that didn't happen, like Liverpool Brighton was a great game. Newcastle Fulham, Chelsea got the first win under Graham Potter as well. So lots and lots to talk about.
Yeah, let's start off with the Manchester derby where City took on United and said, "Sit down, we're your daddy."
Yeah, they definitely took him down a couple of pegs, I think is fair to say. Do you know what? It was weird. I wasn't overly surprised.
No.
And not because I think that United are necessarily like a bad team. I just know how good Manchester City is. And I really don't think any team in the Premier League is on their level.
Yeah.
Like, it's Manchester City, then a couple others, and then the rest. Like, it's just kind of the way it is.
At what point are we going to start having a conversation about the fact that if we want to call the Bundesliga and La Liga Farmers League, we're going to objectively look at the Premier League at this point and say the Prem is a Farmers League?
It's kind of, unfortunately, trended in that way, I suppose, which is, like, I think there's more good teams in the Premier League than other leagues. But yeah, like, to actually win the league, it feels like it's a one-horse race, which is funny because Arsenal sit at the top of the league right now, but we'll talk about it later. Like, they're contenders, I suppose, but maybe not they're not on that level.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. And then you just look at Erling Haaland. I swear to God, he's making the league look like child's play. Liam, he has 3 consecutive hat tricks at home, 14 goals in the league right now. That's 9 goals away from last season's Golden Boot winning total. And there's 30 freaking games left. This guy single-handedly is walking into every single Premier League game that he has and Champions League game. And he's saying, I'm here. I'm going to score another 3 goals on you today, and I'm going to walk into this league and make it look like a daycare.
Yeah, he's just making it his own, isn't he?
It's
like,
crazy.
It's pretty remarkable, actually, considering the players that have come through this league. Like, we've seen some of the best players ever to play the game. Henry, Shearer, Rooney, Van Persie. Like, there's so many more, and Haaland's just come in. And what did you say, 9 away from the Golden Boot now?
Away.
Like, we're talking about him probably breaking records. Like, that's probably not even worth a conversation, to be honest. The next thing should be, can he score 40 goals? Can he score 50 goals? Like, what? I just don't know what the limit is for this guy.
He's on pace for 60-plus goals, and this is his debut season in the Premier League. It's not like he's been hanging around here for, 3 years. He finally got a good lay of the land. He's comfortable. It's his freaking, I'm not going to swear, but it's his freaking debut season into the Prem.
I'm sure they said on the commentary that the Manchester derby was his 100th game in the Bundesliga and the Premier League combined.
Wow.
Which is just kind of crazy to think of how far he's come in such a short amount of time. Like, he was not long ago playing. The reason we all realized who he was is because he scored a hat-trick against Liverpool for Salzburg in the Champions League. Yep. And now he's scoring them in Manchester derbies for 3 in a row, which is a Premier League record.
Right?
Like, I just don't get it. Like, I just don't know how he's able to do it. Like, it just makes everybody look so bad. Like, we've been singing the praises of how good Manchester United centre-backs have been with Martinez and Varane and how good that partnership has been. It's like, well, then Haaland just goes and scores a hat-trick. And I know Varane went off, but still, like, that United team has been hard to score goals against in the last few weeks, and City just went and scored 6. It's amazing.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. That was an early game for us here, Mountain Time. That was a 7 a.m. game, so that was like a 6:45 wake up for me. And I remember when my alarm was going off, I'm like, do I do it? It's our day off. Like, I'm up early every single day of the week, but I'm like, no, F it. This is a big game. And I'm so glad that I tuned in for many reasons. But I think for me, sitting back and watching that game, Manchester United has obviously established themselves as the top team in the Premier League, but then also now arguably maybe a top team in the world in conversation with Real Madrid, which is, is on another level.
Yeah.
It's just insane because in that game, Erling Haaland at some point was on the verge of a hat trick. Phil Foden was on the verge of a hat trick. But from top to bottom, that team played like such a cohesive unit where Erling Haaland and Foden were trying to assist each other to help the other guy get the hat trick, which to me is just such a sign of team and unity where they're not looking for the glory at the end of the 90th minute. They wanted to see how many goals could Manchester City put in the back of United's net, not who's making headlines, which star player is making headlines at the end of the game. And I think that's kind of what's scary for me in the best way possible about City right now is just they are a team. Foden and Haaland look like they are best buds. They're enjoying themselves out there. Kevin De Bruyne played some of the best passes I've seen him play in a long time. They're just so good. Bernardo Silva, they're so good. Who else can you talk about at this point? They're all good.
Yeah, there's everyone. I thought Jack Grealish played really well too.
Yes, Grealish played so well.
He had a good game. It's funny because they were missing like 3 really key players in this game. Like their 2 centre-backs, Diaz and Laporte, didn't play. Rodri didn't play, and they still scored 6 goals. I know they conceded 3, but 2 of them were pretty much consolation goals at that point, right?
Just keep it up.
Yeah, it didn't really matter. And even John Stones, like he got injured with England as well, and he didn't play. And yeah, like you said about the Foden and Haaland, like trying to find each other for the hat trick, and it just shows the level of confidence they actually have in their ability to win, I suppose, and like in each other. And I don't know what else to say about them. There's just so many positives to come from this team. I truly cannot believe they're not first in the Premier League. And
right, I know.
Who have they got next? I think we were saying, right? They've got some tough games coming up. Who do they got here? Tottenham next. Oh, sorry, that one was postponed. I'm going the wrong way. Southampton and then Liverpool.
Oh, damn.
So the Liverpool game will be a big one.
You know what? It's so many to people listening and watching, of course. I know you guys think we hate Liverpool because every time an episode goes up, someone in the comments is like, we can't wait for you guys to shit on Liverpool. No one is doing that. No one is doing that. But I just want to preface before we get back into, because I want to talk about Foden. But for me, it's just so hard to understand how a team last season could have accomplished so much. They were literally headlining about the quadruple. And they were in a Champions League final, and they were so close to winning the Premier League, and now they're barely getting past Brighton, and they're just so bad to the point where like I don't mean to be negative about it. It's just hard for me to understand like what happened in that gap. And yes, you could say injuries and you can say they played a lot of football, but that's stuff that every team kind of deals with. You can't use that for an excuse all season long.
Yeah, I agree. And it comes down to, at the end of the day, you've got to play with the players that you have, and you've got to get the best out of them. And I think Liverpool aren't getting the best out of their best players.
Yeah, I 100.
I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit more after, but defensively, they look like an absolute shambles.
Well, not according to Gary Neville.
Yeah. I don't know what he's talking about because he's disrespecting himself, but we'll get into it.
We'll get into it. Foden, I want to read you this stat. In the 64th minute, Haaland became the first Man City player to score a Premier League hat-trick against United. In the 72nd minute, Foden became the second player to ever do it. This happened in the same damn game, and I feel like that is such a powerful statement because between 2 guys, and of course a whole team effort, but 2 guys put United away. And that's just from a derby perspective, that's sick to watch as a fan.
Yeah, just to see your top guys show up at the biggest time, and it gives you confidence as a fan as well, with City not having the success they want in the Champions League, for example. Like now you see these guys, okay, they can do it in big games. And it was funny, before the game started, they were saying how, to stay on the fan topic, how the commentator was like, yeah, this is bigger for the fans than it is the players, because now they can go to work on Monday morning and give it to all the opposition fans. So now City have got that for a while.
Absolutely. And to any United supporters, I don't hate United. I really don't. I don't care about any Premier League team because I don't follow it. Like I don't cheer for anyone religiously. But for United fans to leave at halftime at a derby, like that's bad.
I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah.
Tickets cost too much to be leaving.
That's what was shocking to me.
And I think with football, you don't see it all the time, but you see comebacks. Like, it can happen.
It can happen.
And especially in a game like that where there should be some fighting spirit left in the team to go and get a couple of goals and make something of it. And yeah, I don't know. I would never leave our game at halftime because like I said, I can't afford not to.
I made that mistake in that Champions League final between AC Milan and Liverpool. I didn't stop watching the game, but I basically celebrated AC Milan winning that Champions League title.
Yeah.
Went in halftime, got McDonald's, enjoyed it or whatever. And then by the end of the game, I was crying because I'm like, holy shit, Liverpool just basically scored 3 goals and 1 in PK. It was terrible. Anyways, Foden scoring his first ever career hat trick. And listen to this. He scored his 50th goal for City at the age of 22 years and 127 days. That's important because he's now the youngest player to reach 50 goals under Pep, beating the one and only Lionel Messi, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty impressive. But I want to now talk to you. We know Foden for City, but what's Foden like for England?
I think Foden always leaves people wanting more. Like, I think we see it with City where, he's doing all this stuff and whatever. He's playing like Phil Foden should. And then he comes to England, it just doesn't seem like he's as free to play. And maybe that's a Southgate thing too. And a lot of people have been talking about it, and I've thought about it too. Is like he's probably going to lose his spot in the starting 11 come the World Cup, unless he starts going on some really good form here. But like, I think Saka would probably get into the team over him right now. And one way people were talking about Foden staying in the 11 if Saka was to come in is to drop him back into a midfield role and just be an advanced playmaker there. And I don't know, like Foden, I think he has a lot to prove still on the international stage. I think we'll see it eventually. Like, he's still a young guy, and what is he, 20 at the tops, I think?
Yeah, 22.
22. So, great player. Would love to see a little bit more for England, but still a key player for them, I think.
I mean, let's say he's on the bench. That's pretty good depth for you guys.
That's not bad, because it's likely he'd sit next to Jack Grealish on the bench. So.
It ain't bad. You've said on this show before, kind of at the start of the season when everyone was, United was still back in the negative limelight with all the Glazers stuff, and then their start was awful. You didn't always approve of Ten Hag's starting 11, or maybe the positioning of the players within his starting 11. What do you think about him benching Ronaldo and Casemiro in this derby?
I don't disagree with the Ronaldo one, because I just think Ronaldo hasn't done a lot for United this year. The Casemiro one, I would like to see him play more, because Casemiro, I feel like, hasn't had a chance to really show Manchester what he's about. And this is a game where he probably should have played. And I know the argument is for McTominay to come out of the team. I actually didn't think he was that bad. I honestly thought Eriksen was horrendous defensively. And he just can't play in that position, sitting too far back. And Casemiro, I don't know, maybe you're losing too much playmaking if you take out Eriksen and keep McTominay and Casemiro in. But I think, too, to defend Ten Hag a little bit, this starting 11 had won every game since they lost to, Brentford. Mm-hmm. So I think you got to reward it. I guess Anthony's coming to the team as well, but you got to reward it in a sense. And I think after what they showed against Liverpool, where the starting 11 can perform in big games, like, give them a chance to go and do it against City, and clearly it failed. I thought a lot of the players were underperformed massively. Like, their whole back four was horrible, to be honest. Like, it was terrible. And Dalot was brutal. Malacia was brutal. Varane, I guess, got injured. Martinez, you didn't really notice him a lot. David De Gea wasn't at his best, although he did make a few good saves, I thought. But I think next game, they've got to shake it up a little bit. Bring in Casemiro. Maybe you do bring in Ronaldo, because it's not like Rashford did anything. I guess Martial scored twice.
But those were like, City at that point laid down and said, okay, this is a freaking inter-squad game. Yeah,
I do like Martial more than Rashford, though.
And I thought Anthony's goal was
that was a good goal.
That was a really good goal.
That was a good goal. It's just a lot of question marks still with this team. And I feel like United fans maybe thought that the bad days were done. It's like, no. There's still a long way for this team to go. And if they want to get to City's level, and they're probably not good enough to be a Champions League team at this point. I think they'll contend, and saying that, I also think there's only 2 Champions League quality teams in the Premier League right now, and that's probably City and Arsenal.
Yeah. My question with the whole Ronaldo debate is at some point, when are we going to say, oh, Ronaldo hasn't been playing well, but then equate that to the fact that he hasn't been getting minutes? Like, you can't expect this guy to come in and in 10 minutes every somewhat games perform, right? So then you have now Casemiro on the bench. Whatever, take Ronaldo out of the equation. Everyone seems to be shitting on him, but you have Casemiro on the bench that you paid a pretty nice penny for. What came out of the top club in the world with the best midfield from the best coach, and he came to England to essentially retire. Like, that's what I feel is happening to him. And I know that Casemiro, like, the paycheck must have blinded him a little, but I feel like if he would have known that he's coming into a squad where he's going to ride the bench, because visibly it looks like a toxic environment. Him and Ronaldo on that bench looked pissed off. I don't know if he's making that move in hindsight, because at the end of the day, he's riding the bench at a point in time when the World Cup is less than 2 months away. And he's like, I need to be playing. Like, I need to get match fitness. I need to be getting those minutes, and I'm not. And the worst thing is I'm riding the bench when my team is getting throttled 4-0.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of the best defensive midfielders in the game.
Yeah.
And then Ronaldo, like, I don't agree with it. For me, in my opinion, when you have a guy of that magnitude, both Casemiro and Ronaldo, who have played in some of the biggest matches on some of the biggest stages, who have that match experience, how are you not going to give them more minutes in a Manchester derby? We all know that Casemiro could have been used on that pitch. It couldn't have gotten any worse for United in that game, possibly. Like, it couldn't have. And all you need for Ronaldo is to have one good crack on net and he can score. I'm not saying that he would have changed the complete outcome of that game, but I don't know. I just don't like the fact that you have two superstars sitting on the bench looking visibly miserable when you're losing at some point 4-0 in a Manchester derby. And I think Ten Hag, whatever he's trying to prove at this point, it's kind of going in a different direction. And this isn't me being like a massive CR7 fan, because it's not even about Ronaldo. It's not even just about Ronaldo for me at this moment in time. It's also now that Casemiro, like, this guy was starting and playing with Modric and Kroos not too long ago. What the fuck is happening?
Yeah, I think Casemiro is going to play the next match.
He has to.
Yeah, they play in the Europa League this Thursday against a team from Cyprus, Omania, I believe it's pronounced, and then Everton. He'll play in one of those two games. I think Ronaldo will play on Thursday. I think the argument to keep the lineup the same was how well Rashford has played in scoring goals. Yeah. Like, he scored 2 against Arsenal. He had an assist against whoever they played before that, and another goal against Liverpool there. And I think that's probably why Rashford's stuck in the team over, and like Sancho has been playing well. I can see Ronaldo probably getting some chances here pretty soon. I just think, too, like, if Ten Hag wants to play this way, and we've seen him do it because he adapted after they lost to Brentford, and then they changed with the Liverpool, and they had some success. And like, he's obviously aware that his team can't play the way he wants them to play, and he's had to adapt to that, which shows that he is a good manager. And if you
absolutely is. Yeah.
So if you have a guy like Ronaldo, like, how can you incorporate more into the team to get the best out of Ronaldo, who had 18 goals in the Premier League last season? Like, this, you can clearly still play at this level. Now it's just about putting him in the team and helping everybody thrive, including Ronaldo.
I completely agree. And again, I'm not shitting on Ten Hag, because I've always said he's accomplished so much with Ajax. You know, like, he's a good coach. But if your team's losing 4-0 at half, how the hell do you not come into the second half with some changes made? Because clearly the starting 11 that you had on the field during that first 45 minutes is not doing it. And you know that City is going to come out and try and pump way more. So at that point in time, changes should have been made. And I don't know. Like, I just seeing Casemiro and Ronaldo on the bench made me laugh. Like, that's what's happening, and I think it's almost becoming like a joke, and that's sad, because these are two really big names in our sport.
Yeah, they're huge, and even now with Varane on, another former Real Madrid player like Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
Is he back? I know he's injured right now, but like Lindelof came on, but that's another thing. Like, when is he going to get back into the team? Is he going to get back into the team? Is he done? Like, there just seems to be a lot of question marks still around this team, more with the personnel that isn't playing and the players that are actually playing, which is kind of an issue, I think.
I'm excited to see what happens in their next game because I'm interested to see what Ten Hag does.
Yeah, I wouldn't take too much away from this Europa League game. Like, they're going to change the team. Obviously, there's a lot of games, but that Everton game on Sunday, and then they play Newcastle the following Sunday, and then Tottenham, Chelsea, and West Ham. So they actually have it's a tough run of games to end October.
Yeah. I'm actually curious if United supporters are listening to this, let us know what you think. I want to know about the whole situation, what you think about Ten Hag, what you think about Casemiro, Ronaldo. I'm curious to see what United supporters feel. Liverpool versus Brighton. My dad's the biggest Liverpool fan, and I called him, I woke up and I saw the score and I called him and I'm like, oh, what are you doing? He said, I'm getting groceries. I'm like, it's bad when he's not sitting at home and watching the game, and he went and actively did groceries. Like, that's not something you genuinely want to do.
And sorry, they're out east, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so that wouldn't be like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, he was out doing groceries. I'm like, oh, okay, so like this must have been a real good game. So I know Liverpool came back to make it more of a competitive match. But the last 25 minutes that I caught of this game, I called my dad to update him. I said, I've never seen Liverpool play so poorly. Like, what is going on? And it's just, for me, because I hold Liverpool to a high regard. I'm not hating on them. I hold them to a high standard. It was an awful performance. Thank God for Firmino, who scored those goals. And we're sitting at a point in time where last season we were saying Liverpool could win the Premier League, and now they're sitting in 9th place.
Yeah, even at the start of the season, right? We were saying like, oh, Liverpool will still come back through.
Right,
and that's
I know.
what a lot of people were saying online as well. And it's like, well, now you're at a point where you can't beat anybody. Like, you're just not playing well, and that's the be-all and end-all of it. And I think the worst part about it is their best players aren't their best players right now. And, Salah, like, what has Salah done this season? Van Dijk has been exposed a bit more. Like, Fabinho, like, a lot of people have been upset with the way he's playing. And you get Mr. Trent Alexander-Arnold, who I don't know what it is about him. Like, even when he makes a decent play defensively, it seems to come back and bite him. Like, that first goal they conceded, like, did well to get the header up and kind of up and away so people can reset, I suppose. It wasn't into it. You would have liked it to go a bit more wide and right in the middle, but either way. And then gets cut in on that guy by Trossard, and then slips and they score. And then the next one, he goes to chest it, and it just goes straight to the other team. And it's just like, this guy can't catch a break with what he's trying to do.
Gary Neville, if he can just work on those basic things, we'll probably have the best right back the world has ever produced on Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I don't get it.
I respectfully, and this is a big respectfully, could not disagree more. We were talking about it last show. You want to put him as a winger? Maybe the conversation's different because he's such a threat in the attack, but defensively, some of the things he decides to do, and I guess that's what he's alluding to, if he can just work on those basic things. But those aren't basic things to me as a professional footballer. Those are things that you should be doing with your eyes closed. Like, you're at the biggest, most important level of your career, and he's just not doing it. And I'm not shitting on him. It's just the facts.
Sorry, did he say one of the best Premier League has ever seen, or the world has ever seen?
The world has ever produced.
So he would say he is the best ever?
Yeah, if he can just work on those basic things.
Okay. What about Cafu? Just one name. What about...
Absolutely stamp that for approval on that comment.
What about Gary Neville?
What about yourself?
Yeah, like, my big thing is, if you're a defender, defend. If you can't defend, you're not a defender. I'd be like a defensive midfielder not being able to, like, just being attacking all the time. Like, it just wouldn't make sense. It just doesn't add up to me. How can you say that when he's 23 years old? He's been in the Premier League now for 5 years? And it's arguably getting worse by the game how he's performing defensively. And I think that's just so disrespectful to all the other players that have come before him, and even the players that are going right now, like Reece James. Like, Trent can't even get into the England team over Reece James, Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier.
Yes, yeah.
Like, there's just guys, and like, I don't think Kieran Trippier by any means is world class, or even Kyle Walker to that point anymore. He makes a lot of mistakes too, but like, Trent's definitely 4 on that list in the overall of attacking, defending, whatever else you want to throw in there. Like, the reason people see him in such a high regard is because he was what he does with the ball going forward. But what is he doing without the ball? And it's not good.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better myself. I mean,
look, I just don't get it.
Honestly, there's not much more to say, except I think Gary Neville might be just trying to gas him up and get his confidence levels up. Going into the World Cup, which I understand, but then like have those conversations with him in private, because it is low-key disrespectful and kind of takes a little bit of cred away from Gary Neville, because it just does. That's a comment that doesn't make sense. And again, I say that respectfully because Trent Alexander-Arnold's a good footballer, but when you're playing right back, you need to. It's like a must on that resume of yours to be proficient in defending and attacking. And he has one out of the two down perfectly. Yep. And the other one, needs some solid, not basic work, like solid work that, again, on this stage, he needs to have figured out. So all I know is if I was playing against Trent Alexander-Arnold, I would tell my team to go down his side of the field.
Yeah. I would too.
I would tell them to expose him.
There's this app I use pretty often. It's a pretty good tactical app. And on here, it gives you an attribute overview. And it shows progression over time. So in 2019, Trent Alexander-Arnold's defending was rated around a 75. Now, in 2022, it is a 67. His creativity's gone up, though.
Yeah, but this was... That's what we say about him, right? Like, I remember watching him, one of the first times I watched him, I said, this guy's really dangerous on the flank. Yeah. Like, he's dangerous.
He's an exciting player.
He is an exciting player. But then sometimes, maybe he's like a head scratcher. Hopefully he gets out of this little rut. Maybe, Klopp will have him do some serious 1v1 defending, or Southgate at practice.
Do you want me to teach you, Trent?
Do you imagine? I would love that. What would you tell him?
I just don't do what I do, probably.
Yeah, you're so funny. I love that. Liverpool has Arsenal and City up next. Pretty big back-to-back games for them. I don't know. Those are two of the top teams in the Premier League. Liam, you've called it on our show that Arsenal could win the league. And when you did, and you put that out on social media, everyone attacked you, being like, of course, everyone's go-to comment on social when you talk about football is, you don't know ball. But it's just, to me, it's not a hot take because they're at the top of the table since the start of the season and they've been doing really well. And they're just this like low-key team behind the scenes that people probably should pay more attention to at this point in time.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like, when I said it, they were literally undefeated in the league. And people were saying how they hadn't played anybody. So I did a little bit more research on it, and I haven't announced this on the show yet. But Arsenal's average position of their opponent in the league, this was a couple of weeks ago, maybe before United, was 11th. And Manchester City's was 15th. So they were playing better opponents according to the table, and obviously it's early in the season, but it's not that hard of a take that Arsenal are a good team. Arteta's got his players in place now, and they're playing really attractive football. And he's getting the best out of his players. Like Granit Xhaka he's playing unbelievable. It was only like a year or so ago that he was literally getting booed by Arsenal fans, and now he's scoring in the North London derby. And it's just like, this guy has come such a long way, and it's good to see. And Arsenal, I think they're easily the second best team in the league, and I don't think it's even close.
Yeah, and that's saying because City's just they're not even on planet Earth right now. So to even be in that conversation for Arsenal fans, it's got to be an exciting time because it's not like how it usually goes for them where they do well and they drop off. They've been consistently doing well, like you said, Liam, and I don't know. I don't think it was as much of a hot take as everyone made it seem to be. And I just think it was a solid take because you might have just been the only one at that point in time who had the confidence to say that. And the belief in this team. You said Gabriel Jesus was one of the best players, if not the best player in the Prem.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the most exciting as well. Like, he's in that category. And it's funny, isn't it? I don't even know what to really say about it. Like, they're just a good team, and they're beating good teams. Like, yes, they lost to United. Probably wasn't the best example of what they can be, but this is a big win over Tottenham, and now I think it has a lot of question marks over Tottenham as well, as being like, people were saying they could maybe compete for the Premier League under Conte this year, and I just really don't see it right now. Like, this Arsenal team has taken North London back. North London is red again, and yeah, like this Arsenal team doesn't have the depth Manchester City have. Like when they lose a player, like Thomas Partey hasn't played recently. It's big for them. Like it's obvious that someone's out of the team. But when this starting 11 is in place, they can compete with anyone. I'm excited to see them play against City to see exactly what level they're at. And I think that will give us a really good idea of what this Premier League is going to be about. And next they play Liverpool, and I really think they'll beat Liverpool.
Yeah, what's your prediction for that game?
I think it'll be like, I'll say 4-2 Arsenal.
Wow, okay. I'm going to say 4-1.
All right.
Okay, we'll see. But for Arsenal, to make that clear, Liverpool fans don't come for me. All right, guys, we got a fun new segment on our show. It's going to be called World Cup Power Rankings, presented by Uber One.
Yes,
this is good
new
stuff.
friends.
Our new friends here. And we're going to rank. So basically, Liam, this was your idea. So why don't you tell everyone what we're doing?
So we're going to blindly rank the 32 teams in the World Cup. But the way we're going to do it is I'll have a team one episode, Caroline and have another. So, for example, if Caroline puts Argentina at number 1, then obviously I have to put Brazil. Say I get Brazil, and I think they're number 1, and I have to put them at 2, kind of thing, if that makes sense. So today we got 2 teams, and we're just going to go with our home nations. I think that's a good way to kick it off.
Wearing my Poland sweater for anyone watching, for anyone listening. Tough time for me in this World Cup. I mean, it's a blessing because I'm from Polish descent, but I'm obviously born in Canada. So I have 2 teams in this World Cup for the first time in my life. It's been a cool way to navigate this World Cup, but clearly cheering for Canada, but always supporting for Poland. I want to make that clear before anyone comes for me. And who do you want to start out with, Poland or England, Liam?
Let's do Poland, because I'm very curious to kind of see what you think about this team. There's some exciting players on this team.
There is.
Outside of Lewandowski as well.
Yes.
Like, obviously him, but...
That's been my problem with Poland for so many years, is that there is one guy on this team. His name is Robert Lewandowski, and they play very direct to him. So it's almost like we have the ball. How do we get the ball over the top? Find Lewandowski and pray to God that he somehow finds the back of the net. And Lewandowski's done such a good job for our national team to even put as many goals in the back of the net that he's done, because it's not an easy job when you know that you're the guy who's constantly going to get the ball. You know your opposition's going to mark you. And Lewandowski's just done a solid job for performing the way he has. But now we have a Poland team with some depth and a lot of players playing in Serie A, which is our favorite up-and-coming league right now. We got Milik for Juve, Piontek and Salernitana, Zielinski at Napoli, and I really like Zielinski at Napoli. He's the attacking midfielder. Szczęsny is the goalkeeper at Juve, so he'll be our goalie at the World Cup. Zalewski plays under Mourinho at Roma, and a couple guys in the Premier League. Fabianski's the West Ham United goalie, but I don't believe he'll be our national team goalie. Berdarnik at Aston Villa. It's a hard one for me to say. These Polish last names are tough. Then, of course, you got Lewandowski, who's killing it for Barcelona right now. And a few guys who have some big-time experience for this national team. Kamil Glik, Krychowiak. Just a team that has talent, depth, that when I hear this and when I see this on paper, I'm hopeful, because it's not going to just come down to Lewandowski. And that's been our biggest problem. We have one of the best players in the world on our team, but we all know football can't rely on one player to do the job. That's what makes our sport very interesting. So I look at FIFA rankings and I see Poland is ranked 26th. And ahead of them, Serbia, Japan, Morocco, Iran, Peru, Sweden. We beat Sweden in World Cup qualifiers. We beat a lot of good teams in World Cup qualifiers. Wales is 19th. I do think we are better than Wales, but I'm going to put Poland at 20. 20.
Okay.
And I'm going to do that because Poland typically does really well in qualifiers. We sometimes win qualifiers for the Euro, for the World Cup, but then when it comes to tournament time, when it comes to tournament time, we don't perform. I don't know what happens, but it's just such a poor, lackluster performance from Poland, especially defensively, that I'm like, I put them at 20 because I think that's a number of, with respect, you're a top 20 team in the world, but they still have a lot to prove to me. And they're in a very hard group. They're in a group with Argentina. They're in a group with Mexico. I'm very curious to see how they're going to look against those two teams, but I do think that they can get out of that group.
It's funny you say 20 because on my own personal rankings, I had them 19th.
Oh, okay.
So
you put them above Wales.
Yeah, I put, no, I had Wales higher, actually.
Oh, okay.
I actually think they're better than Mexico.
Okay.
I think they'll be better than Mexico. I think actually they'll get out of this group.
I hope so.
I really do believe this is the year Poland finally make their way out. I think it's been a long time since they made it out of a group stage. 1986 in Mexico, funnily enough, was the last time they made it out of a group in a World Cup. They've only been to 3 since then, but I think this is the year. I really like the team that they have. There's a lot more talent, which is big for a team like Poland.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is finally the time. Yeah. Lewandowski advances in the World Cup.
I would love to see it.
I would too. I think it's important we see these players continue on in the World Cup.
Yeah. And you know what? Poland has such a big football presence. Back in their earlier years, you're talking about that last World Cup that they really did well in. They upset a lot of big teams and they had really good players. And we just haven't seen that since. And a lot of the time, the problem with Poland is coaching. We don't have good coaches. So things get lost, poor player selections. The player talent isn't as big as it used to be, but now I think Robert Lewandowski's surrounded by a very good core team that's playing. Like, these players are playing on good teams across the world, and I'm really hopeful that they do something. But again, I say that cautiously. It's like almost I'm cautiously optimistic because I know what it can feel like when you do well in qualifiers and then you come into the tournament. I can't say the word today.
Tournament.
Guys, help me out with my spelling today. Then you come into the World Cup and it doesn't translate. So we will see. But I agree with what you said, Liam. Lewandowski could be his last ever World Cup. I'd love to see him do well, and what a treat for us football fans to see Lewandowski and Messi play in one game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. One Barcelona legend and one that's definitely building his legacy right now.
Yeah. Okay, England.
England. Well,
I'm curious to hear this one.
So there's obviously a lot going on with the team right now. They can't score goals consistently, not playing probably to the standards they should. Harry Maguire's in the team, which a lot of people don't like. There's definitely just a lot more negativity going into this World Cup for England than what has kind of happened in years past. And that's, to me, I think that comes with two things. One, with expectations that have happened now after what has happened in the past. Like, England did well at the last World Cup, and then they went to a Euro final, and then also Nations League. They finished third in the Nations League recently too. And then you come into this one, and it's like, you just got relegated from the Nations League. And I think there's a lot of people who are disappointed that the Euros went the way they did. But I think at the end of the day, it's proven now back-to-back times that Gareth Southgate knows what to do in these tournaments. He knows how to win games, and he knows you don't have to blow the doors off everybody that you come up against, and then 1-0 still gets you 3 points and you can advance. And I think that's what England have accomplished the last few years. I would like to see them play more freely in this tournament. I think there's too much talent to have them sit back so defensively. The Harry Maguire thing is a big question. Should he play? Should he go? Is another part. I think he goes. Either way, I think he's on the play, and I think Gareth Southgate respects him too much. And he made the Euro All-Star team. They're a starting 11. Like, he was in that team. Like, he's proven that he can perform in these tournaments. I think he goes. I think he will also start the first game as well. And just looking at England's group, they shouldn't have an issue against Iran. The US are in a similar boat where they also can't score goals. So I think England would be able to expose them. I think the toughest game in the group is Wales, just because of the United Kingdom. And it's anytime England play any of the other nations in the United Kingdom, it's always a big match for both teams. And I think England will top this group. My prediction is they make it to the semi-final of the World Cup. They're going to have to beat France if they want to get there. I think if they don't make it to a semi-final, it is an extremely disappointing tournament for this team. Yeah. And for that reason, I am going to put them I'm going to put them 5th.
Oh my God, we have the same number.
Okay.
Yay.
Good. And I know that seems weird to say considering I think they'll make it to the semi-final and they have to beat France, who I do have higher, but I think they can do it. Like, I do think they can beat France. We'll see. I don't know. I feel like this also feels like a one where it's going to be a bit disappointing, but I just don't think any of the European teams are that good. Like, I don't think any of them are really going out as a clear favorite to be the best team in Europe and to compete for a World Cup. They all have massive question marks, and I think England can expose that. So for that reason, I have them as 5th in my power rankings.
I have the same thing. And you know what? I'm thinking about the other 4 teams that come before England, and they deserve to be there. France, Argentina, Belgium, Brazil. These are obviously favorites.
I have Belgium lower.
Okay, so
I have Spain. Spain's my other team. But either way, yeah.
That's what these are teams, right? Where I'm like, okay, in my opinion, they are slightly ahead of England, but I'm like, where do we put England where I still think respectfully they deserve to be in the conversation as World Cup contenders because they're so damn good on paper. Mm-hmm. And I always say, I know that the Nations League isn't going the way that they want it to go and some of these exhibition games, but you can't look too much into those games because the World Cup is different. Yeah. So it's just a different stage. The energy is different when you're playing in front of fans, when, everything is on the line, a team will show up differently. So that's where I just look at the roster, I look at the talent, I look at the players, I look at the experienced players and also the young talent that they have. Foden could be on the bench. That's depth. Yeah. That's a cool place for England to be. The one question mark I have is Southgate. But again, I'm just going to stop saying the word.
Competition.
Tournament time is different, and I do expect England to go far. I will say this. If they mess this up this World Cup, I will give up hope on England because I have so much, since I'm a kid, I have so much belief in this nation in terms of football that now I'm looking at a squad that could really do something. And if they don't get to that quarterfinal, they don't get to that semifinal, and maybe even if they don't play really well, I'm just going to be like, what's wrong? Like, there's a big problem here in this English national team because it doesn't make sense at this point.
Time is running out.
Yeah.
Especially, I think Southgate will be done after this World Cup, whatever happens. I think he's had a great run. He's had the most successful period since England won the 66 World Cup. And one player I would love to see go to the World Cup, and I can't believe wasn't even in the last team, but James Maddison from Leicester. Mm-hmm. He's an unbelievable football player, and I think he can truly make a difference in this team. I'd like to see him go. But for England running out of time, like you look at a guy like Harry Kane, like he's not old exactly, like he's 29, but still another World Cup, he'd be 33. Like there isn't exactly another guy lining up behind Harry Kane at his level right now for England. So it's a big opportunity. England need to capitalize, and I think they can win it. Honestly, I really do think they can win it. However, like I said, I would not be surprised if this was just misery at some point in the tournament.
That's crazy for English fans, how you guys are so talented, so good, and it's like we can win. We can actually win the World Cup, but we wouldn't be surprised if we didn't because our team shits the bed. Like, it's just such an ironic place to be in. What are the emotions like? Like, what? Okay, tell me what it's like to watch, as an English fan, what it's like to watch your national team play at the Euro or the World Cup.
At the Euro last time, I think everyone was very proud of what they were able to accomplish. At the World Cup, I think they also were proud, but also very disappointed, but also wasn't unexpected. I think that's the best way to put it. Like when England lose against these teams like Croatia, which they should have beat, Iceland in the Euros, whatever year that was, like it's not unexpected, and it just leads to lower expectations, and people just don't believe. And I think now that's a big issue is people do believe in this team, and now they're kind of getting put back to reality a little bit with this recent run. It's like, okay, well, maybe we're just not what we think we are.
Sometimes these things are good though. Having these big losses before before the World Cup, it's good because you want your team to peak at the right time. You don't necessarily want your team going in playing 10 out of 10, right? You need to give them room to improve each game and to peak when it matters most. So England, like I said, learned some hard lessons. They have time to kind of, iron out the kinks, and then go to the World Cup and maybe put together some games where you guys actually are sitting back saying this is the freaking year.
I hope so. I would love it. I do.
Would you cry?
Yeah, I almost cried. I pretty much cried when Luke Shaw scored in the Euro final. They didn't even win.
Aww.
It's just the penalty shootout plagues us every single time we play. But it was actually funny when England went to 2018 World Cup and they played against Colombia and they won on penalties. I was at my old job, sat in the bar watching the game, and I have never been so anxious watching any kind of football. I was like shaking, and then when they scored the winner, I legit like shed tears. I was like, it felt so real, I guess, to like think like we could really, really do this. And it all, as an England fan, and everyone will say this, like the penalty shootout, we never win them. So the fact we did win one, it was like, whoa, like maybe this could be something different. And it was different. We went to a World Cup semi-final and lost in extra time. Like, it was special.
Okay, so you're a football fan and you're also a hockey fan.
Yes.
Is there a difference for you watching? Like, do you have a different type of emotion watching England progress in a World Cup or a Euro Cup versus the Oilers potentially getting past that Western Conference final mark?
Yeah.
Like, would you cry for the Oilers?
I think if they won, I would.
Okay.
I wouldn't cry if they won in a shootout like they did for England. But I think for England, it's different because it's just been with me forever. Yeah. The Oilers have been with me for 10 years.
I think that's what's special, though, about football. I don't know. I get the same type of feeling. Like, I get emotional seeing things, watching things. It's crazy how much anxiety I could get watching a game. When I don't have that with any other sport. And I love a lot of sports, but when I watch my team play or I have a player that I want to do super, super well and I'm watching their performance, it's almost like their family. And I'm like, why do I have this heart-wrenching feeling? Like, that's how badly I want a team to do well when I support them or a player. And it's just crazy, that feeling you can get.
I guess a good way to put it for me is every single time Bolton score or England score, I jump up and cheer. I don't do that for every single Oilers goal.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I will if it's like a good goal, but I won't do it. I just have more passion for football, I guess, than hockey. And I have a lot of passion for hockey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Just a different type of thing. Also, when I posted, so I posted our chat about Berhalter, and also that podcast episode did really well on YouTube. I don't know if you saw.
Oh, did it?
There's a lot of I'm learning a lot of people want to talk about the U.S. national team.
We can talk about
We can talk way more. You guys, let us know. Let us know what you guys what you want to hear. But maybe there's a little bit of a market for us to talk more about Berhalter and the boys. But when I posted our comments on Berhalter, people were saying you could say the exact same thing about Southgate. That he's not putting these players in a position to succeed. And sometimes he needs to go back to the drawing board and adjust his system to put England in a better position to score and to succeed. What are your thoughts?
I would disagree completely. I think Southgate, yes, sure, he needs to put players in better positions. But again, England have been to a World Cup semi-final and been to a European final. The US can't even get out of the group stage. I don't think the comparisons are really on the same level from what those fans are saying. I understand it in a way that you're not scoring goals too, but we're not scoring goals against Italy and Germany. You're not scoring goals against Japan and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
To put it bluntly, that's kind of, you know what I mean? That's kind of it, isn't
fair.
it?
It's fair. Okay, guys, coming this week on Kicked Back, we have Aleister Johnson, who plays for the Canadian men's national team. So if you have any questions for Aleister, please drop them in the comments. If you're listening to this podcast, tweet us. But of course, right back, who plays for Canada. He's 23 years old, plays for the Montreal Impact in Major League Soccer. And I just think a player, I believe he got man of the match against Qatar.
Yep.
A player who does so well. Like, he defends really well. And then in the attack, he's pretty good at getting a good in-swinging ball in, and just a guy who I've read in previous interviews really believes that this Canadian men's national team can do something special at the World Cup. So I'm excited to talk to him.
I remember that game they played here against Mexico. He was the one who hit the half volley on the first goal, which got Kyle Laren's goal. So I like him a lot. I think he's a fun player to watch, and I think he's going to be probably one of the next Canadian players to push over into Europe and start thriving over there. Really fun player. I'm excited. Like it'll be a good one. I'm excited to hear what that Canadian camp is feeling right now, heading into this World Cup. The experience of playing Uruguay and what they learn about themselves against a top team in the World Cup. Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be a really fun one.
And even what it's like to be defending Nunez. Like, what is it like to be on the pitch with these guys who are some of the most talked about footballers in the world with immense amount of talent? Not saying that Canadians don't, of course they do, but these guys are like making headlines, and now all of a sudden you're in a position to defend.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's a different dynamic when MLS players go and play in Europe, because European players, like, I guess that's the upper echelon, if you want to call it. So it's a little bit different. But yeah, like, how do you feel? How is it feeling, like, going up against them? What's the feeling of playing against some of the best players in the world? And like, did you ever worry that Nunez was going to turn around and headbutt you? You know, multiple questions we could ask him.
We have to ask him that, absolutely. He played, I think, at a bit of his career collegiate. When he played collegiate football, he was actually holding center mid.
Oh, really?
I believe he played for St. John's University, and then when he went to Wake Forest, they moved him into a right back position.
Because he scored, I've got his stats up here. He scored 10 goals in 36 games for St. John's.
Yeah.
And 6 in 43 for Wake Forest. So that would suggest that he probably played in a more advanced role than right back. Maybe I'll ask him about my Alphonso Davies take.
Yes.
I would love nothing more. Nothing more than to have all those people in my comment section shut up when England play the World Cup. I thought he was hilarious. Like, there was one guy who commented, and I'm 99% sure he actually didn't know what he was talking about, and he just commented to like join the hate. And also, one of my friends, Brendan, I'm calling you out on this one, Brendan. I was telling him about like how these people were not happy with my take, and he's like, "Yeah, that's not cool at all." Like, whatever. I was like, "I'll put something nice," and then the next day. He coming on one of my videos. He's like, "This is a horrendous take." It's like, unbelievable.
Is Brendan sometimes he writes common Liam W. Yeah. I like that guy. I'm like, I'm all for the positivity. But no, I mean, you talked about this. This would not be the first time if something like that happened, where a player moves a position on the pitch, a player who's versatile, to adjust to their opposition. That happens. Coaches do that very often.
I couldn't believe it. He's literally a defender.
Yeah, people are like, "This isn't FIFA, bro." I'm like, "Oh my God."
Someone said Eustachio. You literally have Eustachio, and it's like, buddy. The point was these guys don't have the pace that Davies has. Like, maybe I didn't say it enough, but like, he's arguably going to be the quickest player at the World Cup. And the point of it is to help out our two centre backs who are not fast and they're strong. Yeah, so I think maybe they'll do better against Lukaku. But when you go up against these other teams, like. And they have pace, like what is it going to be like? And I think Davies can just help Canada thrive in the best way possible. And that's the point, right? You're at the World Cup. You might only play 3 games. You got to do whatever you can to win them.
Yep. What I liked, when you think about it against Belgium, what I liked about that is that Kevin De Bruyne to me is like super skilled and also very athletic. Alphonso could shut down Kevin De Bruyne. And that's saying a lot about what Alphonso Davies can do as a whole. Because I keep saying Canada low-key has to man-mark Kevin De Bruyne, even Modric against Croatia, because they're so dangerous. Alphonso could shut those guys down and still have that ability to go forward.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I can't remember where I heard this, but Hazard and De Bruyne like to play on the same side. They both play wide for Belgium. What if you just put Davies as the fullback on that side?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way. And I know you're losing a lot of stuff with him being more defensive. But if they just have the ball all the time, then what does it even matter? You know? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks with Canada in that sense of like, how are they going to be able to perform against these top teams? I think they'll be fine if Davies even plays center attacking mid like he has been. That was another thing. People said like he doesn't even play central. He literally just did it for 2 games.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny. I gotta get used to them, but it's I'm new to this whole TikTok world.
The keyboard warriors are
I love them.
They're a different beast.
Comment all you want. More views.
Honestly, that's what it always is. You're like, thank you. You're helping, our video take off a little. So you just got to ignore the haters. And you're always, it's interesting. People, when you put something out like that, people don't agree with you until it happens and then you become right.
A lot of people haven't said much about my Newcastle take recently, who are now 2 points off a Champions League spot.
And we're going to resurface your video on Arsenal.
Yeah, we will.
We're going to resurface that.
What is it called? A stitch? Is that the TikTok?
Yeah, we're going to stitch it.
I'll stitch
you should
it.
go on the 90th minute account and stitch your own. That'd actually be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be funny.
That'd
If they what did they say? We play Liverpool in the next couple of weeks. If they beat Liverpool, I'll resurface it. I'll repost it somewhere. I'll get something moving.
Perfect. Okay, guys, Champions League football on today. There's a game happening right now. Isn't Bayern playing right now?
Bayern was up 3-0 last time I saw.
Not surprised.
3-0 at halftime. Sadio Mane, Serge Gnabry, and Sane, and then Marseille is up 2-1 on Sporting in the 26th minute. There's a lot going on in this game. Sporting scored in the first minute, and then Marseille scored in the 13th minute and the 16th minute, and then Sporting had a red card in the 23rd minute. Wow.
There's been a lot of red cards in the Champions League.
There has been. I think it's quicker pace, right? Like you're just going against different teams. I guess the unfamiliarity of what's going to happen maybe brings into it. Oh, he's a goalie.
Oh,
the goalie got a red card.
We missed some good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned. Yeah. We'll have another episode coming out. And then, of course, the other game's going today. And I don't know about you, Liam, but I'm going to go home and what is it? Barcelona Inter. I believe that's the game I'm going to have headlining my TV. And of course, I'll keep tabs on everything else going on. But I'm going to order a nice juicy burger. Ooh. Uber Eats time. Uber Eats.
I wonder if Buchanan will play for Bruges today. Since
That'd be great. Yes, I know.
Scored over the weekend.
I know. I saw that you tweeted that.
Yeah,
be great.
That was good to see. Let's have a quick look here, see if the lineup's out before we go. Projected lineup is not projected to be in the starting 11, but maybe he's on the bench. Who knows?
Who knows?
Hopefully. I mean, he's great. That's why Davies can play center defensive mid.
Well, yes, we're definitely going to ask Aleister about that. We're going to ask him what he thinks. Yeah. Or if maybe he'd want to take a crack at playing center mid for
if he's done
center.
it. Maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe you put, I don't know, like maybe that's the way to do it. You just need that. The whole point of this is it doesn't matter who it is. Like people said, I can't remember his name. There was another midfielder on Canada, the young kid. I think he plays for Montreal right now. Cone, I can't remember. Yeah. People were saying put him there. Like, sure. Yep. Put anyone there. Just they need speed in front of their back four to help them. Yep. That's it. That's all they need. Whatever it takes.
I agree.
Call up Trent. Maybe Trent's got some Canadian ancestry somewhere. Like, just shut him down.
All right, guys, enjoy Champions League football. Just a reminder, if you guys join Uber One today, you can get your first month free. So visit uber.com/Uber1 for details. Like I said, I'm going home. I'm ordering a nice juicy cheeseburger. I like ketchup, mayo, lettuce, love pickle, but sometimes not on my burger. I'm weird that way. And I'm always getting a side of fries. So if you do that, unlimited $0 delivery free, 5% off eats, 5% off rides. And I'm excited. What would you get to eat right now?
Oh, right at this moment, I'm a big pizza guy.
Pizza.
I love a bit of pizza, but you know what? I might be using Uber just to get a ride.
Where to get home?
To home. My car alternator issues, not ideal. I took the risk driving in today, so maybe I'll give you a call on the way home, Uber, and get going that way.
And you got to do Uber One because it's a membership and it lets you save on Uber Eats, Uber Rides, so everything that Uber encompasses. It's just the best place to go because you save money and. I can't wait. Like my stomach's literally growling this entire episode, and all I can imagine is just
it's all in one hub.
And I don't have to do anything. Yeah, it's just a nice knock on my door, or they leave it right at your door, and then I smash.
That was always the thing when during the whole COVID lockdown stuff. I would always order Uber, but I was living with my parents at the time. It's always like, leave it on the doorstep, do not knock. And I would put in the comments like, parents sleep.
Is that the note you left?
Yeah, I'd always in caps, I put parents sleeping. Never knocked.
That's
so thank you.
Funny. While we sign off, guys, I'm going to, for the next episode, learn how to pronounce the word tournament. And maybe I just have to say it slowly.
Yeah.
Tournament. Tournament. That was extremely difficult.
It's one of those easy words. But sometimes you slip them up.
Those get me. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Enjoy Champions League football. We got that interview coming out with Aleister Johnson later this week. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.